Hello again, Fish-A-Lots. I'm John with Fishing with Johnny Fish-A-Lot. Hey, Ben. Hi. And Ben's going to steal the show, as you can see already. But in this episode, have you ever watched... see, Ben, you screwed me all up, your little cutie face. It's a good thing you're a cutie face. And you ever watch YouTube or any other fishing videos and wonder, boy, those guys got some pretty souped-up kayaks. I wonder how much money they're really putting into that thing. We'll be discussing some intermediate cost accessories for your fishing kayaks, and let's get into it. All right, first things first, of course, we got to talk about safety. And so let's talk about your PDF. So these are your personal flotation devices. This is a Type 5, and this is a Type 3. Now, both of these have their pros and cons. One of the pros, of course, is that this is far more comfortable. You can tell that you only have these two little straps that you need to put on, and you can basically fish all day long without actually even knowing that this thing is on. So this is a Bass Pro Shop Type 5. These will run you about anywhere from $100 to $150, depending on what you get. Now, what I would recommend is, if there's one area of kayak fishing that you don't exactly want to skimp on, it would be your personal flotation devices. So you will see AM24, and what this means is automatic and manual. So this is also what I would recommend. If you do go in the water, God forbid, you do have the automatic option where there's a salt tab in here, and as it wears off, this will inflate automatically. Or if that malfunctions for some reason, you also have the option for manual. Also, you could get the absolute outdoor only, and that one is usually about $150, but currently on Amazon, there is a sale going on where you could get it for $110. So now this is an Old Town Lure Anglers Type 3, and the reason why they say that is because you could tell it's got all sorts of compartments for lure fishing. You could put stuff up in here in your kayak. It's got plenty of fancy accessories, zippers for you to store different things in there. You can see I have some fishing line in here from the previous times that I've used this. It does have a mesh back for breathability as well, so when it's really hot, this will come in handy. So another popular option for these Old Town Type 3 PDFs are also the NRS Chinook fishing life jackets and PDF. However, the disadvantage to this is you can see this is quite bulky and does not offer the same amount of maneuverability as the Type 5 does. So these are the two types of PDFs that I would recommend if you're out kayak fishing. All right, so let's go from life-saving devices like your personal flotation devices to accessories that you're going to wear on your feet to keep yourself warm and keep yourself dry. My preference here, of course, is the NRS Kayak shoe. That's literally what it's called. And this is basically a neoprene boot. It literally keeps you super warm, and I absolutely love these things, especially if you're winter fishing, by the way. So I do a lot of winter fishing, and as a lot of you guys know out there, if your feet get cold, no matter what you do for the whole rest of the trip, you are going to be cold. So these are the NRS Kayak shoes. Now, you will notice that these are only about ankle high. So this does not offer a whole lot of protection if you need to get out of the kayak or you need to launch a kayak. These are going to make your feet wet. So if you don't have bibs, I fish with fishing bibs, which cover my feet. So even if water does get in here, I'm always dry. But those bibs are kind of expensive. They could be upwards of $400. And so if you're looking to keep your accessories under that $200 range, what I recommend is NRS also makes a boot called NRS Boundary Boots. And those boots come up just below your knee. Hey, Ben, you want to play in the kayak or you want to play with bubbles?
Kayak?
Kayak?
Really?
Yeah, that's my boy. Checking out all my accessories. Oh, that's a cool net. All right, Fish-A-Lots. Next up, let's talk about electronics. So most of your high-end, more expensive accessories for your kayaks are going to really revolve around your electronics. So now, what I have here is a Yak Power 12-volt relay switching system. This will come in at around $150. And what's great about the system, though, is it's all plug and play. If there's one thing I don't recommend in your kayaks, it's messing around with the electronics. Okay, I'm not an electrician. I'm not really good at splicing wires. I could figure it out, but if there's one thing I know when you're out on a big body of water and you're just floating in a piece of plastic, having your wiring malfunction and possibly catching on fire is really a bad day out on the water. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this. Well, that's the end of my fishing trip. I have MillerTech marine batteries, and it literally melted. Now I get to row a tank 2 miles. Not fun, especially not in a 136, 13.5 foot Old Town autopilot kayak, because this thing is like rowing a tank. All right, here's a closer look at the Yak Power 12-volt relay switching system. And you can see there's the 5 plugs right here. And this wiring here will run straight to this, which is Yak Power's throughput fitting here. And basically, you're going to plug in your power here. Here's your battery pack here. And that links runs under your kayak. And this allows you to control all the electricity in the kayak from right under your seat, right over here. And it is a super convenient way to run all your running lights, to run your electronics, to run your fish finders. And also, this is a safety feature, I would argue, because everything I can control right underneath my seat. I don't have to crawl up into the front of the kayak or into the stern of the kayak, risking life and limb, risking falling over just to turn on some running lights, or maybe even to turn around my all-around white light, which again is a Coast Guard regulation for safety if you're fishing at night or if you're anchored. And again, this comes in at about $150. This guy comes in at about $20, and this guy comes in at about $100 just for the casing. The battery inside, if you go with that Dakota lithium ion battery, 18 amp hours, 12 volt, will also come in at about $200. So you can see how these systems start to add up as you start putting everything together in order to run your electronics on your kayak. Hey, and I hope you're getting value out of this video, and if you are, please make sure to smash that like button so that this video can be shared to other fish-a-lots out there that may need some useful tips and tricks to maximize their time out on the water and hopefully catch themselves some more fish. All right, let's get on with the kayak accessories. I think an essential piece of any kayak accessories is your power pole. Hey, Ben, there goes Ben, run right by. And this is a super stick. So this is an 8-foot super stick that I use all the time for anchoring the kayak in shallow water. However, I went with the 8-foot, which turned out to be under $100. And there's some better options out there. One of which is, of course, Yak Power's Park and Pole, but it's a little pricey. It comes in at about 120 bucks. But here's the kicker. You could add an extension on Yak Attack's power pole called the Park and Pole that will create a 12-foot 2-piece power pole, which is absolutely perfect. Again, this is 8 foot, so there's a few times where I've been fishing and this 8-foot pole just isn't going to cut it. It literally is just too shallow. And you could anchor up in so many different areas. Oh, and there's Ben mowing my garage. Hey, Ben. A little chilly out here, huh? Oh, you're going to lawn mower my power pole. All right. There it goes. And all right, another area of fishing kayaks that you really shouldn't skimp on, in my opinion, is going to be the paddle. Now, this is an Old Town 136 autopilot. Oh, and there goes Ben. You see, Ben agrees with me. He thinks that you should not skimp on the paddles. Oh, thank you for putting a piece of line on my paddles. Oh, there we go. There's Ben's contributions to the video. Thanks, buddy. And the reason why I say that is, now this is a 136 autopilot from Old Town, and, you know, of course, it's built in with the trolling motor. But there are times where, of course, something may break, like the trolling motor, or like my battery that powers the trolling motor. And in that case, of course, you have to rely on secondary means of propulsion. And so, of course, when this kayak broke down, I used these paddles right here from Canon. They come in at about 80 bucks. And as soon as I started paddling, I wished I had a better paddle out there. One paddle that you could use is the Carlisle Magic Angler paddle. Anyway, you can buy any paddle on the market. These ocean kayak paddles that are just much bigger in diameter. They're made of fiberglass. They're made very sturdy. Those will all come in at about $130 to $150. But if your trolling motor breaks or if something goes wrong with your electronics, you will be grateful that you had that paddle.
And numbers don't lie, fish-a-lots. As you just saw right there, these accessories do tend to add up. We're talking about over $1,000 for things like your life jackets, good paddles that will be able to row you to safety, proper electronics so you don't have melted batteries or you catch on fire, and these things do cost some money. So in addition to these kind of intermediary kayak accessories, I also made this video right here, which you could click on, which shows many more kayak accessories, but these ones will cost you under $100. So make sure to go ahead and check that one out, and I'll see you out there on the water.